Welcome to the live Q&A. I want people to give people plenty of time to start tuning in. And I just want to say this has been an absolute pleasure today to do this. We just kind of threw it all together, and we all pulled together as a team, and we had to learn so many new skills. I really want to give a big shout out and thank you to Zach Chambers. Everybody go to zachchambers.com and or zachchambersphotography.com or William. Hold 1 second. What is that, Simone? We're gonna look that up for you because I want him credit properly for this. We are buzzing right now. We are absolutely just buzzing, and we're so excited to announce that it's happening, folks. If you can see this board behind me. Oh, hold on. I'm just going to turn around and reverse the camera. Do you see that? Do you see that? You know who sees that? Big Steve sees that because that's $30,000 that we have raised so far. Now, if we hit 50,000, remember, I will dye my hair pink. Okay, and so will Big Steve. Oh, he says no to that one. But Big Steve is going to get silly stringed. He's going to get some whipped cream in the face. And then we're going to dump some ice water on him. That's the part he's really looking forward to, right? Big shout out again to Bobby and the Desert Door crew for mixing up cocktails for us. We've got Joanna. We've got April, we've got Christina, we've got Ellen. Whoop, hold on. And look at that crew right there. We've got Mr. B. We got Rusty. We're a little broken right now. We're going to get them a cocktail. And we had a question come in. Remember, folks, this is a live Q&A. So you type the question out there in the comment, and I will make sure the proper person answers answers that comment. It's been a long day. But one of the questions that was DM'd us earlier was, how has the COVID pandemic affected the research that's done out here on the ranch? So not only has it affected my research personally, Steven's and Christina's, but more importantly, there's a handful of Texas State students out there that all of their bat research was canceled. We had researchers coming from the University of North Carolina system that can't come out. But again, the really big thing with that research is there's so many kids that had to miss Herp Day, had to miss Bird Day, where they actually get to learn how to do the research themselves. So that's been really unfortunate. So the research is still up in the air out here. We have plans to start allowing researchers that are familiar with the road system out here to be able to come back out, maybe do a little bird research. I'm going to be helping out with some amphibian research because now that the Selah Spectacular Picnic-a-thon is almost over, I'm going to have time and energy to put somewhere else. So that is fantastic. So let's see here. Simone, we have any other questions? So let me. Oh, I want to give a big shout out to our war room coordinator and the spirit behind this whole day. That's our intern, Simone. Simone is going to be leaving us in the next couple of weeks. She's going to start her PhD at Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff. So we are very blessed to have had her out here during these strange times, and we hope she comes back and doesn't forget us. Most interns don't forget us, and it's been pretty nice. Simone, is there anything specifically you want to say?
I'm very excited that everybody took a chance with me and let us do this. And I'm very happy that we all got to work as a team to put this on.
Fantastic. That's great. So, Simone, before I really interrupted you with a segment on you that you didn't know was coming, you said there was another question.
Question to Mr. B. What is your favorite spot on the ranch?
What's your favorite spot on the ranch?
Oh,
my goodness, that's so easy to answer. I know you're probably all thinking in terms of something of nature, but my favorite spot is Hess's Country Store. And that's my memorial, if you want to call it. It's really not, but my mother has formed my life because she was a single mom. My father was killed in a war plant. My older brother was killed a few months later in the Air Force, shot down over England, over the Channel. And my mother brought me along and taught me everything there is, the respect for every single thing that the Mother Nature has to offer. And it's just a pleasure for me to have all of you people here that are living out what I dreamed of and what I promised her before she passed away, and that was 40 years ago. So thank you, but that's my favorite spot.
Rusty, while you have the microphone, what's your favorite spot?
Well, it definitely is not that big hill I rode up today, a few days ago. But in general, I would say that that area of the ranch is my favorite because it gets such beautiful morning light across the valley below. That's special to me. And then I love the whole, in the evenings, the whole area where the oryx are. I just love that landscape over there. It's one of Ellen and my favorite parts to go drive through in the late afternoons and early evenings. So, yeah, those would be my favorites.
How about that? To quote a great man, how about that? Nothing great ever gets achieved without passion and enthusiasm. And nobody has more passion and enthusiasm than our ranch manager, Stephen Fulton. Stephen, what's your favorite spot on the ranch?
My favorite spot, I think they saw it earlier, is probably the grotto site, where the Karst Amphitheater is. Developing that site, a number of years ago, maybe a dozen years ago, was a bit difficult, but it was worth it. It is a spectacular, pretty spot. You don't get the long views, but what's there is just gorgeous. So that's it.
All right.
That's my spot.
Pass that over to Aiden. Our beekeeper extraordinaire. Aiden, what's your favorite spot here on the ranch? Talking to the microphone.
The ranch.
Wow.
He's a teenager. All right, so we'll continue this theme. We'll come over to the other side of the staff here, and we'll just pass the microphone all the way down. First person up is Joanna. Same question. What's your favorite spot on the ranch?
My favorite spot on the ranch is sitting down around the lake in about this same time of day because the light is so spectacular on the water, particularly when the green trees are sort of hanging like whiskers over the water. And it's near my butterfly garden, which nobody saw today.
Actually, everybody saw it today.
Did they?
Yes.
Oh, good.
That was our most popular segment.
Oh, okay. Now I'm going to hand it to Ellen.
Okay. Well, as Rusty said, my favorite spot is the oryx pasture. In the evenings, it's just meditative and just beautiful. And they're just incredible to watch and so calming. And the vistas are just unbelievable. So we try to make it there a lot. And here's April.
Thank you. That's a great question because I am planning on finding a lot of really favorite spots. But I think the spot that probably sticks out in my mind most is Madrone Lake, as Joanna said. And the reason for that is that I can visualize myself at about 17 years old, and I'm walking along Madrone Lake, and J. David Bamberger is explaining his vision of the property and his vision of the land. And so that's why I'm going to say that that's my favorite spot because it's my favorite memory as well. Good answer.
My favorite spot, hard to pick, but it is going to be Turkey Hollow because I got to see that go from what it used to be to what it is now. So we started that restoration project down there, and getting to take a spot and kind of do what Mr. Bamberger did here with the grasslands and restore it to what it should be, and to be a part of that transition. And really quick story, I mentioned Bonham earlier in the day, and there was a day where we walked down there after we'd had the kids out for a while, and one of the kids commented as we're walking into Turkey Hollow, "Wow, it looks different down here." And they didn't know why, but that just really struck me, that they too noticed what we had, all the hours that we had put in down there. Jared, have you answered yet?
I haven't, but let's go to Simone.
Oh.
Oh, wait, Simone's busy.
To Jared.
So everybody got to see my favorite spot today, Vista Grande, during book chat. So not only was that one of my favorite segments because I love to read, but that was also my favorite spot. And not just because my wife actually was crazy enough to say yes. But it definitely has some amazing sentiments. Now, my other favorite spot here on the ranch is this view from the patio. This is pretty fantastic. And this is actually where we got married. So double special meeting. There's Big Steve already anticipating the silly string and the whipped cream in the face and the ice bucket. Amanda, what's your favorite spot?
I would have to say I do like the Vista Grande, but another spot that I like is in the sheep trap. There's a spot where you can see really good sunsets at the tops of the hill. So
fantastic. Now I saw another question, and I'll go first on this one. The question was, what is the weirdest animal encounter we've ever had out here? And I will tell you, the first time I saw a badger on the ranch absolutely blew my mind. It is not something I expected at all to see out here, and to have it just digging so close to the house was just really, really weird. And then when Steven saw a badger a couple of years later and actually filmed himself running it down, and the camera work on that was, I can't do it with a stabilizer, I guess, but it was fantastic. And you could hear his commentary, and I can't repeat that now. It is not safe for television, but it's great. So who wants to be first with their favorite animal encounter? Oh, but before we get there, that's not all. Miss Lois has come off the phone lines by popular request. So Miss Lois, the question. Oh, never mind. I'm just going to give you the microphone.
Yes, well, from the war room, I heard that the question was, what were people's most favorite spots on the ranch? Mine would be in Turkey Hollow. I've heard that go around. Several people had said that, but I like the overlook at Turkey Hollow when you can lean on the railing there and just look into the canyon. That is my favorite spot on the ranch. And people, please donate via PayPal. I want those numbers to go up. They haven't moved this afternoon. I'm thinking something's wrong with my connection. Okay, I'm out of here.
Thank you so much, Ms. Lois. That is fantastic. So I guess we'll just go in order again, and I'll hand the microphone over to Christina. And the question is, what's your favorite animal encounter?
The first thing that came to mind, this might not be the right answer, but the first thing that came to mind is being in my favorite spot, Turkey Hollow, and finding some fox sparrows that I was not expecting to find. Didn't know if that was a bird we'd had on the ranch before. So my answer is fox sparrows in Turkey Hollow. Passing on.
Am I allowed to do a maybe animal on the ranch?
Sure. Not unless you're going to talk about, if you're going to talk about the jaguarundi, no.
I'm not allowed to talk about
You
that?
can go ahead.
Well, one day when we were driving out, we saw, just before it was dusk, and we were always watching for foxes at that time. And suddenly this animal shot across the road. It definitely wasn't a fox. It had a much bushier tail, and it was much flatter with a sort of blunt head, but it went so fast. And I asked Jared what it might be, and he said, might be a jacaranda. So if I could have proven it, that would be my favorite animal.
Okay, I do have one. I just remembered. It was early morning. I was walking up the hill by the guest house, and I heard a commotion to my right, and I looked over and I saw a deer running right by me, and not long after that I saw a coyote chasing that deer.
Wow.
So I was a little startled and glad they didn't see me, but it was an awesome experience. Loved it.
Thank you. I'd have to say that my favorite animal encounter is, I think it was the day I started, which was only about 2.5 weeks ago, and I was driving in, and a fox ran right in front of my path. Not right in front of my path, a safe distance in front of my path, but it was definitely a fox, and he was definitely headed across the road, and so that is clearly my favorite animal encounter, especially since foxes are super cool. How about you, Lois?
Well, I thought of one, and then I thought of a second one. The first one had been when I was driving towards the chiroptorium, and when I saw my first armadillo on the road. Like Jared, I'm from Pennsylvania, moved to Texas. I'm like, oh, armadillo, this is great. I'm going to stop. But then when you said about the fox, I'm thinking of Stephen's fox, Vixie. And Vixie was in your office, and I was talking to Vixie, and she started to lick my face, and that picture was caught on camera. And I think that's just an iconic picture of being up close and personal with nature, being kissed by a fox.
Thank you, Lois. Thank you, Miss Lois. Simone.
I told this. So I'm from Florida, so I've come in encounter with a lot of very exciting animals out here. I think maybe my highlight would be flipping my first coral snake and collared lizard at the same time in the same herping trip with Jared one day after we had been walking around in the sun for like an hour and a half. It was within like 20 minutes of each other, and I was just like on a high of finding these two lifers. And I've seen my first porcupine out here. I've seen a lot of first animals out here, so yeah.
All right. Thank you, Simone. All right, boss. Do you know the question?
Well, I know the question, but I'm not going to answer it that way. But these are not encounters. In a way, they're love affairs, because all my time here, the 51 years, I've had two of the most wonderful dogs that I can even ever hope to have again. Having lost Corey just in the last year, and then I had another one that I lost after she was 17 years old as well. So Corey was 17 or 18, and so on. But to have partners like that, like those two dogs, and both of them, Beamy, the first one, none of you here were here at the time she was here, but you've all been here when Corey was here, and he contributed so much to the tours and to the kids that were here. And it's been a hard one for me to give up. And we talk about having another dog, but it's going to be difficult because I don't have time in my life to be able to take a dog and enjoy teaching, training, and the camaraderie that goes with it. So it's not encounters the way the rest of you are talking. It's the friendship and the wonderful experiences I've had with my two very, very good dogs.
Now, we have to hear from Big Steve about his favorite animal encounter. I mean, he's kind of an animal himself.
Well, I could talk about my cousin, who happens to be a Sasquatch. But since we're going on realistic encounters, well, a badger was pretty cool. However, it was also painful. So to go to an encounter that was not painful and also very cool, that I was able to share with a group of children that we had out at the time. It was an overnight group. It might have even been some of our campers. We went out on a mock spotlight survey to just show them how we manage our populations of deer. But we were seeing all kinds of animals, and right before we got back to the center, I mean, posing like a statue was a bobcat, and every child got to see that bobcat, and it was a special moment. So, my favorite.
All right, one of my newest favorite animals on the ranch. No, not my wife, but that's little Thunder Bear right there. Hey, Thor, I'm talking to you. That's him. So now I'm going to go back to Mr. B, because one of the questions was, where do you see the ranch in 10 years? Where do you see the ranch in 10 years?
Well, I haven't really reflected on that too much, but after the experiences I've had with all of you these last 2 years, I feel pretty good that it's going to continue serving the public and serving young people, because that's where it's all at. And I see it as continuing on just as it is today, showing nature at its very best and teaching a respect for it to the young people that come here. And I hope and I feel confident that all of you here will see to it that this mission of exposing young people to the natural world. You know, this video and social media, it's something totally new to me, but I very much am happy with it today. But let me tell you something, folks. There is absolutely no comparison to what having young people here that can see and touch, and the story that Stephen just said about the bobcat, and all the things, swimming in water, not in chlorinated water. Everything that you do with the young people is the way I just feel confident that you'll continue doing it 10 years from now, or pass that baton to somebody that you've exposed it to and teach. Just as I've passed the baton to your leader here, Rusty, I hope that you'll train somebody to take your place so that this does go on in perpetuity.
Well, Rusty, you happen to be sitting right next to him, and it's the board chairman and the board chairman emeritus. So, Rusty, same question to you. What's your vision for 10 years from now?
Well, my vision for the future is pretty much aligned with David. I see us honoring the past, but like I said this morning, we will boldly lead into the future. And as I also mentioned earlier, my dear friend and mentor and hero, like J. David, is Andy Sampson, and he refers to Selah as a beacon of hope. And I see that beacon shining brighter and brighter, especially if we have the support of people like you out there today.
Simone, do we have another question?
Yes.
All right. Oh, look at that kid. He's so happy to be on camera. And everybody loves Miss Lois. She loves PayPal. All right, Simone. Lois said, get those numbers up, people.
What takeaways would a person get from Selah that they could apply to a residential hill country lot?
What takeaways can people get when they apply to a residential plot? Well, I'm going to hand this over to Big Steve because he's got a big smile on his face.
I think many of the techniques that we use here on the ranch can be easily scaled down and work just as well on a smaller scale. And along those same lines, many of the consults, the off-site consults that I've been on, have been to smaller properties, 10, 15 acres, 50-acre properties. And there's in the way I look at that, you hear a lot about fragmentation of habitat with bigger pieces of land being cut up and sold off in smaller tracts. To me, that's not all negative. My take on that is you have a larger workforce to care for that land, to steward that land. As long as we're all on the same page as to how that land needs to be, it needs to be managed to keep our natural places and our animals and everything just living in as much of a balance as possible. So definitely the things we do here can be scaled down for smaller tracts. Absolutely.
I don't even feel like I need to add to that. I feel like everybody needs a little bit more baby time, a little bit more Lois time, as Simone reads me the next question.
A question specifically for Steven. How many different animals has Big Steve had?
How many different animals have I had that I've helped raise? Well, I'm not a wildlife rehabilitator, but I have had a few animals kind of fall into my lap. A couple of them here that were actually born to me. But the classification for those two is unknown. Sorry, kiddos. But I mean, if we just go from my time here on the ranch, I've had a pet. I'm not gonna say a pet raccoon, but I had a raccoon that I raised. I called him RC. I'm not very creative on the names, the choosing of the names. RC raccoon. I had a fox, and it was a female fox. And if you don't know, a female fox is called a vixen. So I called her Vixie. And also, I've raised several fawns, and the last one we actually called her Fawn. So just the three types of animals since I've been on the ranch. But as a kid, I had all kinds of animals that I raised, and we can talk about the pig, but technically I did not raise the pig. My daughter over here wanted to keep a 2-day-old feral pig, and I think she called it Thunk. And Thunk was an escape artist for sure, but Thunk has been released on the ranch because Thunk started rooting up the grass in my yard.
I call Thunk bacon because we're going to trap it and I'm going to eat it. All right, Simone, what's the next question?
Question from Colleen. What was everyone's favorite moment from this first ever virtual event that clearly had so much work put into it?
Well, why don't you answer it?
Oh, boy. My favorite moment? I like getting to play with snakes live on the internet.
Who doesn't love that?
It's hard to say. I feel like this day has gone by really fast. I think my favorite moment was realizing before we went live at Vista Grande that we didn't have the, what is that called, Jared? Stabilizer. We did not have the stabilizer, and realizing that we had 15 minutes to get it. And the ranch is 5,500 acres, and knowing that we had to get from one end of the ranch to the other So Simone had to meet Ellen halfway, and we had 5 minutes to do it, and we made it happen. I'm just so proud.
Thank you. Thank you for orchestrating that, by the way, because it worked out great. I think that I'll answer that question in a couple ways. I think the most important way that I want to answer the question is the many moments that happened today where everybody worked together so hard to pull all of this together. That was a really good example of one of them, but there were others where something didn't go exactly as we had planned, or something was a little bit off schedule, and we just figured it out and made it happen. And there was some incredible teamwork that pulled that off. So those were my favorite moments of the day. The other favorite moment of the day was jumping out from behind the rock. Here you go, Ellen.
That was definitely a fun moment. Another fun moment was when Steven and Aiden were doing the bees, and we could actually hear the bees hitting the camera and sounding like they were right around us, and we kept looking around us, but they weren't near us, but it was a little hairy. But anyway, it was fun. That was awesome.
Well, my favorite time of today, or today in general, my favorite time today was watching all you young people bring Bamberger Ranch, which is so close to my heart, and you've brought it into the future. And I know that the next 50 years will be fantastic. Of course, we're going to need lots of support people out there, and Lois is waiting for you.
I think that is a really good segue into my answer. For me, the most exciting part of today is actually still being able to educate and do the programs that we would normally be doing with summer camp and school groups. And despite the pandemic, just pulling together as a team and going, what are we going to do? Because my coworkers will tell you, I don't do well if I can't tell my jokes, okay? And without the kids out here, I haven't been able to tell my jokes. So, joke number one. Did you hear about the two people that stole the calendar? They each got 6 months. Hashtag joke shared. It's been a lot of fun, folks. My jokes will be here all day. Oh, a driving force behind today. The man who actually said, yes, do this. Make, go, now. Rusty Yates.
So you're asking my favorite moment of today?
Favorite moment of today.
Well, I would share April's sentiments. Watching our team come together in such a remarkable way to pull this off, not only during the day, but building up to it. The way they have adapted to the situations we found our in is truly, truly remarkable. I would say one of the most poignant moments for me today, though, was I was behind the camera and listening to Christina read. Well, it just touched my soul. It's one of my favorite passages, Thinking Like a Mountain, and she did such a beautiful, beautiful job of that. So, yeah, that touched me.
All right. Now, coming back to everybody's favorite, Big Steve. This is probably going to be the last segment before he gets silly stringed.
Which, by the way, probably will not be my favorite moment. My favorite moment was it involved Miss Ellen Yates. Miss Ellen Yates. Just one of those teamwork moments where we had some technical difficulties during the snake chat earlier. And Ellen, who is deathly afraid of snakes, by the way, jumped up and helped Rusty stabilize the camera so we could continue shooting. But the entire time, and she was only up there, 30 seconds? It seemed like longer than that, but it was probably only like 30, it might have been a minute. But the whole time she was waving at me like, come help, because she was that close to snakes and she was deathly afraid. But she overcame that fear for however long it was, 30 seconds or a minute. That was probably my favorite moment of the day. So there was a lot of good moments.
All right, so now the time we've all been waiting for. We're now going to give Steven Stephen's children, Aiden and Emery, who've been big helps today, their favorite moment of the day. And we are going to silly string Big Steve.
Are we going to do the grand reveal?
I don't know. And we're going to wait to do the grand reveal until this is all over, because I'm hoping we hit $50,000 and dye my hair pink.
We might get more PayPal donations.
Lois says the lines are open. PayPal donations. Actually, right there, so it's easier to clean up. Yeah. I mean, once the kids spray you, they are going to clean you up. Well, actually, I don't know if they're... Yeah, clean up the patio. Yeah. So while we're waiting, do you know what insects love to read books? Spelling bees. Do you know why the robin goes to the library first thing in the morning? Miss Lois does. What's the answer, Miss Lois?
To get the early bookworm.
To get the early bookworm. I will shave my head, but first we're going to dye it pink, Susan. All right, here we go.
Are you done yet?
Who has more fun than people?
Rabbits!
Well, I'm not getting pied in the face, am I?
No, unless you want to be.
Oh, hold on. Oh. Wait for it. Emery, you're out.
Emery, I got something else for you. Emery, sweetheart, come over here for a second. No.
Round 2. Go ahead. Oh! Poking a bear. Poking a bear. Oh! Oh! Didn't see that one coming. Just like a big brother. Wah, wah. That's quacktastic. Woo! Oh, that's fantastic. So one of the questions that we had, and I'm going to come over here and ask our bartender extraordinaire. People wanted to know, what was Mr. B drinking?
Oh, so at the very end, Joanne brought some tea with mint in it. So I made some alcoholic Arnold Palmers. So it was 2 ounces of our oak aged Sotol, 1 ounce of lemon juice, 1.5 ounce of unsweetened tea, and then 0.5 ounces of agave, and then we muddled some rosemary in there as well. It was delicious. Thank you. Thank you very much.
See, I wouldn't call those an Arnold Palmer. I'd call those a John Daly. Golf joke. Golf joke. Oh, that was funny. Simone, do we have any more questions?
I will have to scroll up a lot because, somebody's asking for a Jokes with Jared segment on our next virtual fundraiser.
I can literally guarantee that's going to be a thing. You ask for it, you will get it. I would love to do that. Do you know what you call a baby calf when he gets in trouble? Grounded beef. I think I almost got squashed. All right, Simone, what other questions do we have? Or is it time for me to finally sit down and enjoy a fabulous Desert Door So Tall cocktail?
They're asking for an announcement of our current donation.
Ah.
Everybody wants to know where we're at.
Everybody wants to know where we're at? Well, that's a really good question. Now, being an Aggie, I am not known for my math. So Simone is going to have to help me out with that. Sip number 1. That might have been more of a pull than a sip. It's been a long day, folks. I win an announcement.
$30,795.
How awesome is that? Thank you, Selah supporters. We really appreciate it. Thank you, ambassadors. Thank you, everybody that helped put this together. We've got a lot of work to do out here on the ranch. So before we end this, Mr. B, do you have any sage wisdom for our crowd?
Any wisdom for the crowd? All of you people that have been listening to and watching these young people today, I thank you so very, very much. We can't go on without your help.
Thank you all. It's been a fantastic day. We will come back with updates throughout the week. We are going to count any donation that comes in until August as part of the virtual Picnic-a-thon. So thank you all. This has been an amazing day. Bye, everybody. Selah moment. Bamberger Ranch crew signing off.